Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Hello, wherever you are in the world. My name is Marion Bevington. I'm your vision host here at Radio Works World. And what a grey day. I'm in London at the moment and looking out of the window, it's like this grey mist is covering all the tops of the buildings. It makes it all look very mystical. So, every cloud has a silver lining. Well, in mist, we start to understand what this word mystery really means. Now, if you've seen the adverts, the picture that I've been putting out today about the show, I want to talk about this mystery. But something very specific that I want to talk about today are mystical states. I'm a yoga teacher and I studied in India. I lived in India for 2 years. And I can still remember very clearly the first day of my yoga teacher training. And we had essays that we had to write and presentations that we had to give to the group. And it was a continuously cycling group. So some of the people had been on the course already for almost 7 months. It was 7 months was the total length of the course, full time at school, 5 days a week and sometimes weekends. So I was a new student arriving in India in my first class. And this classroom was full of some very experienced students. So imagine I was quite nervous. And I remember as I'm walking into the room, I can see all of these happy, contented people sitting on the floor, all sitting very well, still, quiet. And that yoga teacher stands where we sit very straight. Our shoulders are nice and level. And the neck is nice and loose. Can you do it now? Can you sit straight now? Can you be a yoga teacher for a moment or be a yogi? So that's what I want to do today. I want to help you to understand how to become a little bit more yogi-like. And in becoming a little more yogi-like, I'm going to help you to understand the power of something called samadhi. Samadhi is a peak state. So what do I mean by peak state? So samadhi it's said to be the ultimate level of meditation. And it's where we achieve self-realization or nirvana or what other words do they use for it? Moksha. So these are all these magical words that are talked about and they refer to this mystical state. It's a state of consciousness. It's a state of being. It's a place where we all know this place. And this place is when you are completely in flow. So, if you see Usain Bolt, when Usain Bolt is running his 100 meters and he's in stride and he's having fun and there's no effort and it's as if he could continue like this forever. So in this state of samadhi, in this mystical state, in this flow state, we achieve absolute perfection, perfection in performance, perfection in being. So let's just begin. We're going to take some gradual steps, but I want you to have the experience today, just even if it's for a moment, because often it's a split second. And in that split second, we can appreciate so much, we can experience so much. So I want you to sit comfortably wherever you are. You can be on the floor, you can be on a chair, it doesn't matter. Just sit very comfortably wherever you are and notice the weight of your bottom in the seat. So let your bum be heavy in your seat, or if you're standing, let your feet be heavy on the floor. And at the same time that the bum is heavy or the feet are heavy and the legs are relaxed and strong, allow yourself to take a slow breath. So my body naturally just took a deep breath then. Sometimes we sigh, sometimes the breath goes still and quiet. Let the weight of the body with gravity connect to the ground, connect to the chair, whatever you're resting on. And then at the same time, just allow the spine to rise out of your groundedness. So you're not stiff and you're not holding yourself. You're actually letting each bone rest, the vertebra rest one on top of the other. In yoga, we call the spine the meruta, which is a mountain. So feel yourself balanced on your mountain, resting on the mountain. That is the legs as the foundation and the spine as the elevation of the mountain. So you are a mountain right now. So be the mountain and allow your spine to be long and straight, but not forced. Be comfortable and strong. And then just move your head a little just to release the neck. So there's nothing specific that you need to do. I usually do a little head rolling. If you're watching me on video now, you'll see it. If you're just listening to this, just gently turn your head very subtly, very gently from side to side, and lift the chin and drop the chin, just so you can feel the neck soften. Keep the shoulders relaxed, go back into the weight of the body. So continue to free and release the neck and the head as you let the body rest down with gravity. So in this state, this shape, this posture, the spine is straight. And when the spine is straight, information can flow more freely up and down the spinal cord. Now, you know, you may have a scoliosis, or you may have a twist, or you may have some shape in the spine that isn't absolutely straight, but that's okay as long as the spine feels relaxed. Not floppy and not falling, but strong and relaxed at the same time. And in this place, I just want you to notice, close your eyes and notice this sound. And imagine that sound traveling in your ears and down your spine, down the legs and into the seat or the floor. So we'll do it again. Closing your eyes, just allow this sound to enter your ears and travel down your spine and into the ground and into the floor. It's lovely, isn't it? It's my pretty singing bowl. Can you see it? And I don't know if you can see, but inside, oh, it's still singing. Inside, there is a beautiful goddess. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it. She's beautiful. She's called Tara. It's a Tibetan bowl. Just another little one, just because I can. I love the sound. It's attuned to the heart chakra. So allow it to connect through your heart and down into the ground. Nice. And so with yoga, what the teaching is all about, the purpose of all of the asanas, of the stretches, of the postures, the purpose of controlling the breath or managing the breath, and the purpose of stilling the mind, because that is the ultimate goal in yoga, is to still the mind. All of this is to achieve a state called samadhi. And samadhi is this mystical state that yogis get into. And you know, when yogis do elevation where they float, or they've been measured by medics, they can stop their heart and their breath for a while. They can become almost invisible. I've heard that they can actually become invisible, but I've never seen it, so I don't know. But I hear lots of stories, and I have been one of my teachers, his father, who is an amazing, amazing teacher, who's been dead a long time, but still lives in the hearts and minds of millions of people. This guy is called Krishnamacharya. Krishnamacharya is the teacher of Iyengar. He's the teacher of Pattabhi Jois. He's the teacher of Desika Shah. He's the teacher of Indira Devi. So many famous, brilliant yoga teachers are the students of Krishnamacharya. And Krishnamacharya is my teacher's teacher, Desika Shah, who is his son. And Krishnamacharya is reported by a number of doctors and medics to have been one of the yogis absolutely capable of stopping his heart, stopping his breathing. He's been pronounced dead, absolutely and completely pronounced dead by doctors. And then 10 minutes later, there he is sitting up, having a cup of tea, talking about his experience. So this is possible when we reach this deep state of flow. But what I want to talk to you today about is how we use this flow in our everyday lives and how we can begin to encourage this state and to use this state even more. And there are 4 parts to this state that are really important, but also possibly familiar. And these 4 parts to this state, the first one is about time. Have you ever been in a place where you've been absolutely in flow of some kind, and it's as though time stretches, so it goes into slow motion? Everything seems to slow down. Have you ever been in that time? Well, this is called timelessness, you can call it, or stretching time, but it means outside of time. So time is, we break through the boundaries, the limitations of time. And this is an important property of being in flow, of samadhi. It's timeless. It has no time. And then another property of samadhi is that it's as if the self, this physical material self, is no longer there. So you feel like you're at one with everything. There is a dropping of the physical connection to the self. So it's as if the physical body dissolves. So it's bodiless, like timeless. It's bodiless or it's selfless. And then the other part of this 4 parts. So the third part of being in flow is exactly that. It's this flow. And when you're in flow, it's, it's like a river, or it's like there's something that's happening, and it's happening through you. You're not doing it. You are being it. So when you see Usain Bolt running, he doesn't really look like he's doing anything. He's being running. Or like the river, it's not doing anything. It's a river. It's being a river. It's being in flow. So this sense of not being the doer, of just being the activity, being the action, being the thing that is acting, rather than doing the thing that is being done. It's quite difficult to describe, but hopefully you'll understand what I mean. And if you've got any questions, connect with me. You can connect with me on Facebook. You can connect with me here below this video. You can connect with me many ways. It's Marion Bevington. So if you want to connect with me, please do, if you've got any questions about any of these things. And if you've got questions and you'd like to come and share those questions online on the radio show, I'd be really happy to have you come and ask questions of me so that I can really help people to understand this. I can help you to understand this, because this was a real game changer for me. When I appreciated, because I always thought, oh, I'm not a yogi. Oh, I can't make myself invisible. Oh, I can't float. Oh, I'm not Krishnamacharya. Oh, I'm not this. I'm not, and all of these things that I thought that I wasn't. But when I understood what samadhi really is, and it is a mystical state, and it is a high state of consciousness, but it was a remembering. I suddenly realized it wasn't something that I couldn't do. It was just something I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten that I could do it. Because when you see kids playing, if you see a kid that likes drawing, you see them drawing. If you see a kid that likes singing, if you see a child just running freely, they're in flow. So we've all done it. We've all been there, and we all know it, but we've just forgotten. And sometimes we even believe that we can't do it anymore. But that's not true either, because I've realized that I can run like a child and play like a child and sing like a child. And in fact, singing and chanting is one of the places where I really go into flow, and I lose the sense of time, and I lose my sense of who I am as this physical person. And it's as if the sound and me become the same thing. And then the final point of flow is that in flow, you have access to all information. And I mean all information. So, you know, Carl Jung, the psychologist, the famous psychologist, he calls this area where all information lives, he calls it the collective unconscious. So it's the collective because it's part of everybody and everything. And it's unconscious because we're not consciously aware of it, but we are aware of it. We're unconsciously aware of it. We don't know it. We can only experience it. And so there's other words that describe this bank of information. There's the Akash or Akashic records. Again, this is this information that's unconsciously around all of us, and we've all got access to it. And the way to gain access to this, do you ever find yourself speaking about something or writing something or helping somebody? And if you sat down and thought about it rationally, you would never be able to find where you got that information from. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Because this is when we are tapping into this vast bank of knowledge, of information. There are so many great names for it. It's also called the field, because it's a field of information, and it's a field that we all live in. So it's something that is absolutely accessible to everybody. So what is it that stops us from having access to this? Stress and a busy mind, which is stressful, and a mind that believes that it's in charge, because the mind isn't in charge. Nature is in charge. And I think that the Akashic records, the collective unconscious, this field of information is part of nature. You know, it's the thing that informs the DNA. It's the thing that informs the creation of planets, the creation of stars. Where does the information of all of that come from and go to? This is the place. This is the collective unconscious. And so when we're in flow, so let's look at the four things. So in flow, it's timeless, or in samadhi, it's timeless. It's formless. So we don't really, you know, if you're that kid running around the field, you forget you've got a body until you go and sit on the nettles, or a bee comes and stings you. I remember doing that once, rolling over a bee in a flower, and it stung me. That was a bit sad for me and the bee. So it's formless, it's timeless, it's connected to all information. So it's like, you know, downloading, you know, oh, I know, the film The Matrix. When you see all of that, those numbers on the screen, or the downloading information, that's the collective unconscious. That's the field of information that we've got access to in samadhi. And then there's this aspect of flow. Everything is easy. It comes naturally. You know, when you see somebody who's really brilliant at their sport, for example, so I've mentioned Usain Bolt, but I saw something the other day with some people it was a woman, and she was surfing. She was on a surfboard on the water. And it was great because it was like she was at one with her surfboard, with the snow, with the slope, of the water, and the everything about it, with the wave. Everything in that moment was one thing. The whole system was one thing. And then the result of that was this beautiful movement. She was in flow with the movement of the wave, and the wave was moving with her and around her. She was connected to the board. It was just beautiful to watch. This is the reality of flow. And we've all been there, and you may have forgotten, and that's okay, because it's possible to remember. And so samadhi, this final ecstatic state that's talked about in yoga, is something that we all have, and it happens to us all the time as well. So for example, one of my teachers told me, Deepak, this great teacher I have, he told me when he was explaining this, and it was the first time I began to realize, actually, I do know what they mean, because before this very conversation I'm going to share with you now, I just had this same floppy feeling as I walked into my first yoga class and see all these great students all sitting around, and they've all been here for ages, and they're all Indian, and they understand Sanskrit, I thought, and they're just in it, and they're great, and they're better than me. the teacher started to talk to us about mystical states. And I thought, I don't really know what you're talking about. Didn't want to have to write the essay, didn't want to have to do the presentation, because I'm thinking, well, I don't know that. I don't know mystical stuff. Never experienced it. I don't know anyone who's mystical. In fact, it sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo to me. I'm not really interested. And in that moment, I was really quite disappointed. I thought, is this really what I've come here for? To talk about stuff that's not real? And little did I know, absolutely that was what we were there for, to talk about things that were not real in the manifest physical plane that we're in the time scale that we live in. Because this mystical experience is outside of time, it's outside of the physical form. And what Deepak told me, which was probably around the same time, this mystical state of samadhi, it's actually the state that we drop into in the moment that we first burn ourselves. So the first time you put your hand into a flame, or you have hot water or a hot substance touch you, and the heat sends your mind the message, this is hot, this is dangerous, this really hurts, you don't want to do this again. That all happens in a split second. And in that split second, you gain enough information to know forever that you need to avoid fire. You don't sit in it, you don't stand in it, you don't set your hair on fire, unless, of course, you're trying to commit suicide, which hopefully none of you are. But you avoid fire, or you avoid things that are very hot. And it's like the whole body, the whole form learns what is hot, what is too hot. And instantly it will react. It's like an instant reflex is suddenly developed in that moment that I need to not touch this. I need to not let this touch me. This is dangerous. This is going to hurt. And all that information is suddenly it's there. And that is a moment of samadhi. So every time we have a shock and we have this realization that something is going to impact us in a way that we want to either avoid or we want it now, then that moment is samadhi. There's a massive learning, there's a massive connection to this field of information that the body suddenly takes on the understanding, the mind takes on the understanding. I suddenly know something that I've never known before, and it's really, really important. So my conscious mind has never known before, because as I said, my unconscious, it knows everything. And it always has, and it always will. Lucky me. So now, with all of that huge amount of information, let's just sit for another few breaths together, and let's have some lovely sound, because the sound, again, it helps to move the consciousness into a different area. Sound, for me, sound is the easiest way to get into a mystical state. So when I'm chanting, I'm one with the sound, I'm one with the noise. There's no body, there's no me, there's just this sound. It's coming from inside the body, but it's all one experience for me. And when I get into a proper chanting session, I have to have alarm clocks around me, or somebody to tell me when the time is up, because time just disappears. And it does on this show too, because I've just realized it's my half an hour and I want to finish on half an hour today. So let's just finish by sitting still. Close your eyes. Feel the weight of the body dropping down in with gravity's help, and let the spine sit vertebra on vertebra, bone on bone. Create the growing mountain of your spine, and then just a few movements of the neck and the head. So let the neck and the head become softer. Let the eyes be closed and soft. The jaw be closed and soft. And allow the ears to receive this. Allow the body to receive this. Open the heart and let the sound drop through the heart to carry the wisdom of the heart through the body too. And remember that when you are in this peak state, this flow state, you have access to everything. Things that your conscious mind has never experienced, has never seen, has never heard, and access to all of the brilliant and lovely things that you have experienced and you have heard. You have the choice of where you want to go, how you want to perform, how you want to be, what state you want to be in. You have the choice of this in every single moment. So tuning in to this present moment and allowing yourself to find the formless, timeless, flowing, full of intelligence, the collective unconscious available to you, connecting to that moment, that peak moment. It's always possible. All we have to do is to remember and tune in. So, my lovely friends, now you can all be mystical yogis and reach samadhi and take moments throughout every day to connect and tune in and be grateful for the beautiful being that you are, for the fabulous abilities that you've got, for the brilliance that you can shine out onto the world every single day and experience from your own center, this beautiful shining being that you are. And so for today, I would like to say namaste, which is a gorgeous blessing. It means that the light at the center of my heart is connected to the light at the center of your heart. I see you and I recognize you, and you are the same as me. Namaste and goodbye.